Hey guys, it's Mari and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be making a video about how to find babysitting and nannying jobs online, part 2, because I already made a part 1 specifically talking about care.com and how I've always found babysitting and nannying jobs through care.com. I'll put that link up in the corner of the screen if you haven't seen that video. If you have seen that video, you may or may not have noticed that there are quite a few comments asking questions about things that I talked about in the video or didn't talk about, and so within this video I'll be adding some more general tips as well as answering a bunch of questions that were left in the comments of that video. For reference, I am 22 years old and I am a college student studying child psychology in school, so that definitely helps me get nannying and babysitting jobs nowadays. But I started on care.com when I was 16 years old with a parent's consent. Nowadays, you have to be 18 years old to use care.com specifically, and a lot of other babysitting sites, because they all are starting to require background checks now, which you have to be 18 years old to legally run a background check, so that's the reason why. But there is one website that I found that you can still be under the age of 18 as long as you get a parent's consent through email, and that site is Bambino. So I've never used Bambino. I just did some research to look into this for people because there were many people commenting it would have been nice to know that you have to be 18, but you haven't always had to be 18. That just started in 2021. So if you are under the age of 18 but you're at least 13 and looking to babysit, you can still take these tips from my video, but maybe try signing up on Bambino instead of another site, because Bambino will allow you to sign up even if you're not 18 yet, as long as you have a parent's permission. So while I use care.com, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best one for you. Use whatever site you want. I'm just here to tell you my experiences and how I've been pretty successful at finding babysitting and nannying jobs online since I was 16 years old, so for the past 6 years. If you haven't seen my first video, I would really go watch that before this one, because that video focuses a lot more on my actual care.com profile and how I've got jobs on care.com. Even though I made that video like 3 years ago now, it still is pretty accurate and explains. I haven't changed my methods that much since I made that video, so that's the general overview process. This video from this point out, I'm just going to be answering some questions left in the comments, and then at the end of the video I'll be adding a couple tips that I've thought of. They're just things that I think are important and helpful to be thinking about when you're looking online for jobs. So the first question that I'll be answering is, I'm a science major and want to make sure babysitting is a job where I'm able to do some homework or be flexible with. Do you think that babysitting would allow me to do that? I do think that babysitting allows for flexibility and time to do homework, but it always depends on the time of day and how parents run their household. So I have had babysitting jobs where when a babysitter comes, the kids don't have a bedtime and the kids will just stay up until the parents get home, even if that's 10 or 11 or midnight. So you might want to ask the parents what bedtime looks like and see if they have a bedtime routine and what time that's at, and then consider that with what time they are going out until or what they're doing that evening. So then you can kind of guess what time they might be home, and then from there decide if you will have enough time to be doing homework or not. If you're babysitting during the day, you probably won't have time to do homework. If you do, it might be a short hour or so while a kid naps, if they're young enough to be having nap time still. But it's definitely a flexible job because you can completely make your own schedule. A lot of times people feel bad saying no when parents are asking you to be a babysitter, but you should never really feel bad saying no, because it's your own life, it's your own time. And if you don't want to go to a job because you don't have time or can't or aren't in a good mental headspace to, then you should say no and not go or cancel. I would say at least the morning of before you babysit if you're gonna cancel, because obviously they're probably gonna try and find another babysitter if you say no or cancel. So it is flexible, 100%. You make your own schedule. You can always say no to families. You really should only say yes if it is something that you want to be going to anyways. The next question is, hi there, how does getting paid work? Do you have to do your own bookkeeping for taxes, etc.? My answer to this is yes, you do have to do your own bookkeeping for taxes, etc. If you're doing occasional babysitting and you're not accumulating massive amounts of money doing this gig, then you can take cash or check. But if you're doing this as a consistent form of income, one of your primary sources of income, then it is up to you and the parent to set up a payroll system online, which often costs a little bit of money, and this is to be done on the parent side of things when it's a nanny position, because they are the employer, so they should be paying for the subscription per month to use you as an employee on their payroll, if that makes sense. It's not usually that expensive, and it's definitely worth it to be able to keep everything organized and in one place, and you can set up automatic payments, etc., etc. If you are babysitting to an extent where you should be doing taxes on the money that you're making, then it is your responsibility to use something like Venmo or the Square card or some way to be receiving money all in one place so that you can know what to file for taxes at the end of the year that you're making. So that falls on you because you're working for several different families. There's not one consistent employer. So you have to be in charge of collecting all of that. But if it's a consistent like nanny job, then it's the parent's job to set up that payroll system. And you should also, as the babysitter, talk to them about doing that if they don't bring it up first, because if the IRS does come after you, you're the one that gets in trouble, not them, because you're the one collecting the money and not filing taxes on it. So with that in mind, talk about it with your family, do some more research outside this video, and find something that works for you. The next question that I have is, I would really love to do babysitting, but I feel like I can't do it with kids with disabilities because they need more help than other kids. So I do find it a little hard. This is maybe more of a statement, but I would just like to comment on it because when you're a babysitter, like I said earlier with the flexibility aspect, you're completely in control of what jobs you take and don't take. So if you're not comfortable working with kids with disabilities, you don't have to. You can put that in your profile. You can always ask that during a first call or interview with a family to just clarify if their kids have any disabilities, and if so, you can say that you're not comfortable working with that, and that shouldn't come off as offensive. They should honestly respect that as an answer because you're just being honest with what you personally want and can handle. So I think it's respectable to just be upfront about that, and you can still definitely be a babysitter and have that boundary for yourself. I would also like to say that I have not worked with kids with disabilities very much in my experience, but this past year I started to for the first time, and it's really enjoyable. I actually really like it, and I would definitely continue working with kids with disabilities. It can be really fun and rewarding, and they're more like other kids than you would expect. Yes, it might be more work in some circumstances, but I think it still is a really good time, and I wouldn't discourage people from working with kids with disabilities. I would definitely try it out before you knock the idea of it completely. The next question is, with COVID, what are ways that you meet parents? Do you do it virtually? Quick answer to this is yes. I have gone from meeting families in person at coffee shops to meeting them on Zoom or over a phone call or FaceTime pretty much entirely over the past couple years. So I haven't met somebody at a coffee shop or in person for the first meetup in a really long time. It's always over my phone or computer now. So yes, virtually is how I first meet them these days. And then sometimes we'll set up a second meetup where the parents are still at home to go like meet the kids while they're there. And other times I'll just go and babysit right away. The next question says, so I paid for the $10 membership because I didn't think you could join without it. Anyways, they ask for your social security number. Did you feel comfortable giving it? And another question very similar said, I'm applying, but I'm scared to put my social security number. My answer to this is that when I signed up, I didn't have to do that because I didn't need a background check, but then when they added the background check feature, they asked me for my social security number, and I didn't even think twice because you need to give your social security number to get a background check. So in my opinion, it's not scary. You're signing up and paying $10 for them to run a background check on you. So that requires giving them your social security number so that they can run the background check. That's how they know who you are and that you're valid and safe, and you can get like the little check mark, like verified or whatever on your account and look better, I guess, because they know you're not like a pedophile or something. So I wouldn't be scared to give your social security number unless you've like done something super awful that's on your government record that they're gonna find out and like deny you access to using the website. But even if that's the case, like the worst thing that'll happen is they'll deny you access. Well, they deny you access and you lose $10, I guess. The next question is, how do you go about getting a babysitting license? I keep only finding stuff for childcare service, but not a personal babysitting license. Is it the same thing? So when I got babysitter certified, it was through the Red Cross babysitting program, which I took that at the youngest age that you possibly could, which I think was 13 or 14. I remember that I signed up with a friend and we went and got Red Cross babysitter certified. So I don't know of any other places that do that. I would just do a Google search, babysitter training courses near me or in blank, wherever you live, and see if there are those types of things near you. If you have heard of Red Cross and think that Red Cross does classes around you, that's the one that I know of. But outside of that, I don't know of any personal babysitting training licenses. For the most part, families just care about experience. But if you don't have experience, then having some sort of training, I think, would be beneficial. Next question is, how long did it take for families to respond to you? I have applied like a mad woman trying, and I feel like I've applied to all of the ones in my area that will work with my schedule. I sent them basically my bio because it was what popped up for messages. Should I send them another message that is more personal? Yes, you should personalize your messages. You should not send them what your bio is, because your bio is already your bio. So your message should be personalized to their job and why you want their job and why their job works for you and why you think you'd work for their job, etc., etc. Because then they'll see that, be like, oh, this sounds like it could be a good fit, and then they'll click on you and see your bio. So that's kind of what I would say about that. And as far as how long it takes people to respond, I would say if they haven't responded in a week, they're probably not going to. Usually if you respond pretty fast, they will respond pretty fast because you're both like being active at the same time, you know, within the same day or two. But if you wait longer to respond, then your chance of them responding is also going to go down, of course, because other people might have responded to them faster and you might have just lost their interest. So if you respond fast, hopefully they respond fast. And if you're applying first, you should probably hear back from them within a week, if you're going to hear back from them at all. The next question is there a way to babysit without any experience? I never babysat before. I'm 22 and I need experience taking care of children if I ever want children of my own. Yes, you can babysit without experience. Just be honest about that and look for lower paying jobs, because people who are going to take a 22-year-old without experience will not pay as much. And I think you should just be really genuine about who you are as a person, because what those types of jobs typically look for, those types of jobs just being like babysitting jobs that pay maybe like $10 an hour. I feel like that's what I started at. What I'm trying to say is if you don't have experience, you should be a responsible person and be able to show that to them in other ways. So when I think about when I was first getting hired, I was able to say that I'm very organized. I enjoy being like proactive and catching things before they happen and playing with children. And so I was able to say like, yes, I know that I like spending time with kids. I know that I'm an organized person. I know that I know how to make peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I know how to change a diaper and make sure that your kid doesn't hurt themselves, because I will be being attentive to them while I'm babysitting and not being distracted on my phone or something. So those types of things, just general responsibility and willingness to keep their child safe and fed, make those things clear if you don't have experience, so that they can at least trust that you're going to do your absolute best and be capable of getting your first experience. Next question is, how did you avoid getting scammed? So I avoid getting scammed by meeting them or talking to them on the phone first. That's pretty much it. I rely on care.com's background checks to filter out what could be like creepy or bad people. And I never go to people's houses without having a discussion with them on the phone or something first and getting details about the job, what I'm going to be doing, how old the kids are, what their general routines look like, if there's anything I should know about how the kids function. Sometimes I'll ask what they generally like doing. And yeah, just get some details, feel the vibes. I think if you're in tune with yourself and what you want, you should be able to kind of pick up on if a family is like acting super sketch and weird or not. Just like in the real world, how you can get the vibes of somebody who's freaking weird, you should be able to get the vibes of a family who's freaking weird. So as long as you're paying attention and meeting them over the phone first before you just go to their house, hopefully you won't get scammed. The next question is, I want to babysit, but I have no references. I don't have any friends or family to babysit for. So this can be tough not having references if you're looking for higher paying jobs. But if you're just starting off, like I said, just proving that you're a responsible person and just being honest about what experience you do have and what qualities you have as a person. Like, why are you capable of taking care of kids? Why do you want to? Why do you think you'll enjoy it? What do you plan to do? Stuff like that. I think you can still get like entry-level babysitting jobs just being an honest, responsible, kid-loving person. Obviously kid-loving in not a weird way. So yeah, if you don't have any friends or family to babysit for, that's like probably why you're watching this video, because you're trying to look for online jobs. So get on care.com or Bambino if you're under 18 and start applying. Next question is, I'm a male nurse. I want a nursing home care job. Please help me. So to this, I will just note that care.com is a general caregiver site and a few other babysitting sites also are. I know that care.com is, and I know that there are other sites that are also inclusive of other types of care like pet care, senior care, general home care like cleaning. So if you want to find those types of jobs, you can also use care.com to find dog sitting jobs or cat sitting or whatever. You just add that to your profile. Okay, next question is, I really want to start babysitting, but I'm 12. Can I start at 12? And I've already kind of touched on this. On Bambino, you have to be at least 13 with the parent's permission. If you're 12, you should just babysit friends, family, neighborhood kids and kind of stick to that, because you need a few more years of age before you're going to be able to sign up for sites and get more experience. And getting your driver's license helps a lot too. Like when you're really young, it's harder to get to babysitting jobs because you can't drive. So turning 16 is definitely a game changer. Oh, and here I answered my own question. You can take the Red Cross babysitting course at age 11. So that's probably honestly when I took it. Also, if you're 11, 12, 13, 14 watching this, I would really recommend not making online profiles until you're older, like 15 at least, because there are so many creepy people out there, and also strangers are likely not going to trust such a young person with their kids anyways. That's why I say to stick to family, friends, and neighborhood people if you're younger. Yeah, in general, I would recommend waiting until you're at least 15 before making online profiles to try and find babysitting jobs for people that you don't immediately know. Okay, that was actually the last question, so now I'm just going to comment on a couple things that I think are important to comment on and didn't really fit into any of the questions. One thing that's good to keep in mind when you're starting babysitting and looking for babysitting jobs or nanny jobs is thinking about what kind of age of kids you want to babysit or nanny for. If you don't care, then that's great. Just start looking for jobs with an open mind. But think about, if you do care, would you rather watch older kids who are a little less maintenance and able to take care of themselves a bit more? Or are you up for the challenge of watching infants, toddlers, or young children who need more constant attention and energy from you? So thinking about stuff like that, like what do you actually want out of the babysitting job, will not only help you when you're on your job search, but it'll help you actually get jobs, because questions will likely come up in interviews from parents. So if you've already thought about those types of questions, like what do you actually want? Why are you qualified? What age do you want to babysit for and why? That'll show that you've actually put thought into the jobs that you're applying for. Also, if you want to watch more infants or toddlers and you don't have experience with that, I would definitely recommend reaching out to a family member or friend who has that age of kid, or just doing research online about that age of kid and things that you can do to keep them safe and important things to know about that age group, because those are the ages of kids that really depend fully on you to keep them like alive, safe, and healthy. So it's always better to be safe than sorry, and you don't want to go into that type of situation being unexperienced and not knowledgeable about things that could potentially happen, like choking or banging their heads on stuff, or for infants eating honey. You can't eat honey if you're under the age of 1. Just little things like that that are really good to think about and know before you start if you're not experienced with a certain age group. Second tip out of 3 is that if you start a job and you don't like it, you can always tell the family that you're feeling like it's not a good fit and you think it would be best if you didn't continue working together. They might ask why, and in that case, you should either have a reason prepared or just be honest, which honesty usually is the best way to go about doing things. Communication is always key, and just keep in mind there are always new jobs. You shouldn't keep doing something that you don't want to, especially with kids, because they're real people. It's not like you're stocking shelves. Like, that's an actual person who's affected by your mood and way of doing things. So if you're not having a good time, they're probably not having a great time either, and it would just be best for everybody if you left the situation. And last off, to end this video, I would like to say that there is always a family for you. So keep looking. Even if you are being really picky, that's probably a good thing. You don't want to just sign up for something that you're not into. So if you really do like kids and you really want to pursue being a nanny and babysitter, then just keep applying and keep looking and keep meeting families, and you will find something. Always remember to personalize your messages. That's what'll get you the jobs, alongside being responsible, open-minded, kind, etc. And yeah, just remember that as a babysitter, it's once again not like you're selling stuff in a store or stocking shelves. You are literally taking care of another human life. So it's not something to do if it's not what you really enjoy doing. And on that note, I am going to sign off. Definitely comment if any of you would like to hear an update on what my care.com profile looks like nowadays. You know, I'm 3 years older than when I made my last video, so some things have changed. So just let me know if that's something you guys would like to see. Otherwise, I'm probably just not going to do it because, like I said, not much has changed. But I can always give some updates and some new perspectives about what I do now and how it's been since COVID. So yeah, once again, I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you guys hopefully in another video. Thanks for watching.